All right, ladies and gentlemen, a very, very big welcome to week 3 of ICT201 Systems Development Lifecycle and Project Management. Today, I'm going to be really covering a number of topics. One of them is basically about the project. To be able to deliver the project, we need to go and ensure we have a very clear understanding about what is the scope of the project we would like to go and deliver. And I'm going to go and continue with a bit later talking about, from a systems development perspective. This subject to covering both of these topics. So probably going to be this week, I'm going to be covering what I want to cover in terms of the system development topic that you can go and incorporate as part of your assignment work also. But let's start with scope management. I just want to remind you there's 2 teaching team members here. There's myself and there's Dr. Atif Ali. If you are in my class in the morning, 9 to 11, then your consultation is with me. But if you are with Dr. Atif Ali, then your consultation is in the afternoon. Our contact details are here, so whenever you need to ask for any assistance, we are available. You just need to touch base and we'll be very happy to help you. I just want to remind you guys about the copyright. Don't copy and paste without referencing. Even copying and pasting is not allowed. We want you to go and do paraphrasing. Copyright is a very important issue. I repeat that every single week. No plagiarism, no similarity are actually accepted. Last semester, many people have actually got big penalties, like really, really big penalties. Some got 0 for their assignment, some got 50% penalty on their assignment. Everybody got recorded on the similarity, system that we have. So in case of any other repeat incidents, we'll have much more bigger penalties. So please be very careful about that. Copyright is a very, very key thing that you need to really bear in mind and ensure you don't do. It is about working with your group to ensure that you are delivering that outcomes as required. Now, the learning objective of the webinar today is we're going to list the key reasons, or in the webinar, that's what we're going to do. We're going to list the key reasons why good project scope management is important. We're going to describe the processes of planning scope management. We're going to discuss the methods of collecting and documenting requirements to meet stakeholder needs and expectations. We're going to explain the scope definition process and describe the contents of a project scope statement. We're going to discuss the process of creating a work breakdown structure. We're going to explain the importance of validating scope and how it relates to defining and controlling scope. Given an information technology IT project situation, show how recommended approaches for controlling scope can improve the potential for project success. And we're going to describe how a project software can really go and assist into the topic of managing scope of project. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what is scope management? Guys, it's about really understanding what you need to go and actually do, okay? It refers to all the work involved in creating the products of the project and the processes that we go and use to be able to go and create them. A deliverable is a product produced as part of a project. So we might need a hardware, we might need a software, we might be a planning document, meeting minutes, whatever they are. What is actually in the scope of the work that we are going to be doing? What are we going to be doing with that project that you have assigned to us, and what are we not going to be doing within what you gave us? We have a process we follow, and actually not a process. We have the process of scope management, but we have many, many sub-processes. So there are so many processes we need to know about that are involved in defining and controlling what is and what is not as part of my project to be able to go and do. Why is scope management very important? Because we need to ensure that anybody who is really working on the project and anybody who have a stake in the project, so it could be someone who's delivering the project, it could be someone who is a customer, they all need to have a shared understanding about what is going to be delivered and what is not going to be delivered at any particular point of time. If there's no shared understanding, the team might go and deliver something only to find out that the customer is not happy because what we delivered did not really meet the expectations that the client wanted us to go and ensure we're going to deliver. So it's very, very important we understand what the client wants and we try to go and deliver according to those requirements. So when I talk about scope management, we talk about a number of processes, 6 processes specifically. We need to plan for scope management. We need to collect the requirements. We need to define the scope. We need to create the work breakdown structure. We need to validate the scope, and we need to control the scope. Now, every one of these steps is important. Everybody of these steps have its own importance. Planning really of scope management is really, we're going to determine how the actual scope and requirements will be managed. How are we going to ensure we can manage the delivery of all of these requirements that the clients go and set to us. Collect requirements. How are we going to go and actually collect requirements? Defining and documenting the features and function of the product produced during the project, as well as the processes we're going to go and use to be able to go and create them. We need to go and define the scope. What is in the scope? What is out of the scope? Okay, reviewing the charter, requirements, document, scope, document, and so on. We need to go and try to create the foundation to be able to meet that scope. How are we going to go and create a work breakdown structure, which shows you every single step and sub-step that needs to be completed for the project to go and actually be delivered. We need to get the sub-steps because we need to assign people to those sub-steps to be able to go and create the plan. We need to go and validate the scope. What is validating the scope? Formalizing acceptance of the project deliverables. We're going to go and have to accept what has basically been delivered. Controlling the scope. Things might come, things might be subject to change. Someone might come and say, I want this extra thing. And basically they are requesting a different thing than what has already been agreed we are going to be delivering. So what do you need to do? You need to go and try to control the scope at that particular point of time. So what is planning scope management? Planning scope management is we kind of speak to a number of people. We need to use our own judgment. We need to analyze the data that is available. We need to go and be meeting with so many people all around us to be able to go and try to gather an understanding about really the scope management plan, which is a part that is related to the project management plan. You need to know what is the scope to be able to create your plan. Without knowing the scope, you can't get the plan. Okay, we need to go and have that requirements management plan. What are the requirements the client is asking from me? And we're going to go and have to decide how are we going to be managing all of those requirements. So when I talk about scope management plan, it's really about planning. How am I going to go and prepare my scope statement? How am I going to go and create my work breakdown structure? How am I going to maintain and improve the work breakdown structure? How am I going to be obtaining formal acceptance of the completed project deliverables? How am I going to go and control requests for changes to the actual project scope? How are we going to be doing all of that particular information? It's really the foundation things for us to go and really. We need to collect the requirements. How do we collect the requirements to understand what the client really wants? Well, there are so many ways. One easy way for me to go and collect the requirements is let me go and actually speak to the client. How do I speak to the client? Well, go and have a meeting. It could be the manager, it could be HR, it could be sales, it could be whoever. Who is the stakeholders? It could be team members. Okay, but do you know the requirements? It's someone who is usually the client, who is usually someone who might be working in your business even, that could be your client, who's basically going and saying, well, we're going to need to go and know, we want you to go and create this particular things to me. That's really the collecting of the requirements. So you speak to them, you understand what they want, and you record all of that information. Another way you can do that, you can hold a focus group, okay? So I can go and put maybe 50 people in a room from different departments, and I'll try to understand what is the problem they're trying to go and solve. And from there, we try to go and try to identify solutions. We might go and use creativity in decision-making technique. For example, we might go and, go and get, let's say, people who from every department, for example, going and saying whatever they basically like and whatever they believe they need, and we can go and get those ideas to be shared across more than one group and try to people to get to an agreement about what needs to be worked on, what doesn't need to be worked on. I can do a questionnaire, I could do a survey, I could go, and that's very, very important way. Like that's the specific way I went and I actually used myself when I was working at Toys R Us. We needed to go and create a systematic solution to be able to go and resolve the management of all the inventory that is faulty from the stores. How are we going to go and track all of this inventory? What are we going to go and do? So how do we go and actually do that? Well, we went to speak. We actually spoke to the people, various stakeholders, but we also went and we observed the work they do. Because by observing the work they do, we're able to go and understand what problems they go and experience. And by understanding all of these problems that they are experiencing, we're able to start thinking about what solutions are we going to go and be able to go and make for them. So we actually made all of these solutions from that perspective. We could go and generate ideas by comparing specific project practices or product characteristics. For example, you might go and benchmark what you do in your organization to what they do in another organization that is basically, if you want, the sister company of your company. You might go and benchmark what your department is doing in comparison to another department, which is also within the same business. These are all approaches we'll be able to go and. Now, ladies and gentlemen, once you really understand clearly what do people want us to go and do, we can then try to go and record the scope. We need to define it. You know, important elements of a project scope. Let's describe the scope. Let's describe what criteria am I going to follow for me to assess that the actual scope has been delivered to the client. Let me go and look at the detailed information on all the various project deliverables. Every deliverables, let's have detailed information about it. It's good to also have other information in that scope document. For example, let me go and create a scope boundaries. What is in scope? What is out of scope? Let me go and think about the constraints. We're going to deliver the scope within that particular budget or that particular timeline. Let me go and have any other supporting documentation. You know, product specification is one thing, for example. I want a product. Okay, what do you want about that product? What do you want its features? You know, what do you want its performance? You're going to have to go and refer to all of these specifications that are important. As all the time progresses, you start having a more detailed scope. Now, initially, the scope might not be very detailed, but as you start moving along further and further, you're going to basically find out that you're going to be able to go and further improve all of that scope information. Now, once you know what is a scope, and once you know what needs to go and be delivered, you need to go and create a way for you to go and deliver all of these things. You need to create something called a work breakdown structure. Let's say I tell you, I want you to go and your objective is I want you to go and pass 78302. Sorry, the ICT201. How I'm going to go and pass the subject. For you to be able to pass the subject, you need to go and conduct tasks. One of those tasks could be, I need to go and pass assignment 1. I need to go and pass assignment 2. I need to go and pass the final exam. These are the 3 main tasks you need to go and conduct. One of those tasks is I need to go and pass assignment 1. To be able to go and pass assignment 1, there are tasks you need to go and do. You need to read assignment 1. You need to ask questions about assignment 1. You need to start assigning tasks for assignment 1. You need to review the tasks that have been delivered for assignment 1. You need to do more tasks for assignment 1. You need to review more tasks for assignment 1. And eventually what's going to happen at the end, once you are happy that assignment 1 has been done to the satisfaction that you have, you'll be able to do what? You will be able to then go and you'll be able to go and create the requirement. You'll be able to go and say, all right, assignment 1 has been basically completed. So what you need to do, you need to get from a high level is what I need to do to the detailed understanding about all the tasks that are going to be completed in order for me to be able to go and really deliver that particular project. It's about really going down from the high level to the sub pieces that are needed. Now this is work breakdown structure, and that's something very important I tell you about now. The work breakdown structure is one of the most important activities you need to do for your assignment. And the reason why is because a work breakdown structure enable you to go and show me that you thought in detail about every task that needs to be completed. Because once you create that work breakdown structure correctly, once you put every single task, you then are able to then assign people to those tasks. When you assign people, you can also assign how long do I need people for, 1 day, 2 days, whatever. And because you can assign people and you know how long you need the people, you will be able to get a budget for your assignment. So it's very, very important for you to go and create that work breakdown structure in detail to be able to go and ensure that when I'm going to go and judge the plan that you've created and the budget that you've created, I can see that it was created within the details that is expected for you to be able to get the job done. So I'll repeat, it's one of the most important things to produce. It's a foundation document that provides the basis for planning, managing projects, schedules, costs, resources, changes. It's a foundation. You do the foundation, you build your house on the wrong foundation, it's going to fall down. You build your house on the right foundation, everything else is going to fit into place. So you're going to need to get the way down all the way to a work package, which is the lowest level of the work breakdown structure. Because what you do there, you'll be able to then assign people to do the job, and that's exactly what we want to go and end up doing. The output of the work breakdown structure are the scope, baseline, and project document updates. These are the outputs. Scope baseline include the approved project scope statement and its associated work breakdown structure and work breakdown structure dictionary. Now, ladies and gentlemen, so can you just then tell me now, why is a work breakdown structure very important? I've just discussed that. Why is the work breakdown structure very important, guys?
Is it because it outlines all the details and requirements for the project?
It requires all the details. Okay, what else? When you say all the details, what do you mean by that, my friend?
All the cost-related things about the stakeholders as well, and what the client is really after.
Okay.
What he expects from the project.
Thank you for your answer, Shahriar. Anyone else? Anyone else, guys? Come on. There's 13 of you here logged in now, so I'm sure there's many of you who can give me their answers. Why is a work breakdown structure very important? All right. Can you tell me, my friend, why is a work breakdown structure very important, Biroshan? What do you think?
No ideas.
That's okay, my friend. Anyone else could help me out? Okay. Guys, let me ask you a question. If I tell you you have a project of building a software, what do you need to do to be able to build that software? What tasks we need to do?
Planning.
You need to plan. I need to plan what?
Plan regarding the project, and we need to have a teamwork as well.
Yeah,
and
so we need teamwork.
Divide
I'm talking about tasks. Okay, so we need to divide the work. Okay, tasks. Tell me specific tasks. People who are actually working to deliver the software. What do they need to do? So we need to plan. So there need to be a planning session to be able to go and decide on how we're going to deliver the project. What else?
Execution after that, planning.
We need to execute the plan, yeah.
Coding.
And we have to control and monitor.
Yeah? We need to control, we need to code.
Yeah,
do we need to test?
Test.
We need to test. Okay, well, once we test it and everything is working fine, what do we need to do?
Closing.
We need to closing. So what does closing really mean?
Implement.
Yeah, it's implement, but it's about I need to go and really.
We need to like close our project there.
Yeah, we need to go and close the project. We'll need to go and give it to the customer to start using it. We need to do all of these things. Now, let's say I want to say we need to go and test. Do we just test, or do we need to do something before we test? What do you think? We need to create a test case. We need to go and try to start the testing process. We need to record the result. We need to report the result. We need to
the errors.
Yeah, we need to record the errors. So you see there are more than one task. You cannot say testing, because if you say testing, you only spoke about one main task. What about every other task that needs to be done? If you don't record every task, you basically don't know who is going to be doing what. So you need to say, testing, it involves this, and that. Okay, great. There are so many use cases. Perfect. Is one person going to be doing all of these use cases? No, there's going to be more than one person. Great. So what we need to then do, we need to have one tester for this task, one tester for this, one tester for this. So you're going to have to create every single task that is needed. You're going to have to go and assign people to those tasks, because if that doesn't actually work, if you don't create the details, you won't be able to create a good plan. You won't be able to create a good schedule. You're not going to be able to go and report the budget. So it's very, very important that you go and create a detailed work record structure, which doesn't simply look at the task high level, look at the subtasks and look at, because you are mentioning all of these subtasks, you can then create a very good plan down the track. But it's all about ensuring we're going to get from a high level, what do we need to achieve, to the detailed level, what are the tasks needed to be able to go and achieve. And once you do that, and only once you do that, you will be able to then gain an understanding. You'll be able to go and assign people to a particular task. You'll be able to get your budget, your timelines, everything else starts falling into place. Does that make sense? Do you understand why work record structure is so important? Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Just remind you can give me the thumbs up also. Why is it very important, guys, for us to go and validate the scope? What do you think, guys?
Because the entire project really depends on the scope. So if we've got the scope wrong, then we may hand in a project which does not meet the requirements.
That's 100% correct. So if someone coming to you and saying, I want something, and if you go and, if you come and say, I want a car, and I go and find a 1990 car here on the street, it's very old, it's very rusty, and I go and basically find you the cheapest possible car for me to go and assign to you. You're going to go and say, but that's not the car that I wanted. Say, but you said you want a car. Yeah, but that's not the car that I wanted. Why? What car did you want? Well, you didn't ask me. You didn't ask me, do I want a new car? Do I want an old car? What features do I want in the car? You didn't ask me anything. So how would you go and actually give me a car without really asking me what I'm actually looking for? You're 100% correct. I'm really, really sorry. I don't know how I didn't do that. So you might go and be delivering something to the client, and that something is not very, not right. Because why? Because I haven't went and I haven't really validated what the client really wants. So it's very, very important to go and validate and understand what the client really wants, because by validating what they want, this is when we are able to go and try to be able to go and ensure we can verify that we delivered what the client really is asking from us. And the scope needs to be very specific in terms of understanding what they want. Now, in terms of scope, I have another question. How can we control the scope? How can we control to ensure we are delivering the scope? Or maybe delivering the changes in scope that the client came and asked me for? How could we do that? What do you think? Any idea?
We can maybe increase the chance of final product or service.
Yeah, so
Service result
yeah,
by validating each deliverables.
okay, so we can go and monitor each deliverables, making sure things are being delivered according to requirements, and that's why how we control the scope and we ensure it's been delivered. Awesome, mate. Thank you very much. What else? What else, guys? How can we control the scope? Is it possible for the scope requirements to change? In the information technology field, is it possible for the scope requirements to change? What do you think? Could the scope change?
Well, I think it can be modified a bit depending on the client. So
you can modify the requirements. So if the client comes to you, go on.
Yeah.
So if the client comes to you and say, I want to change, how would you control that? You say, oh yeah, no problem, I'll just do it for you? Or is there any particular way you need to go and control that?
Well, it may change the cost as well.
Yeah, it may change the cost, and that's why you need to control it in a certain manner. How could you control it?
Maybe set out some boundaries.
You set up some boundaries?
Or something. Yeah, that few things cannot be changed or something.
Yeah, so you go and create boundaries, that's correct. So that's one way we're going to go and do things. You need to create some change requirement process to be able to go and ensure things are being delivered. So without a change management process, how would you go and ensure that you are actually delivering what they're actually asking for? So you need to go and actually look at, someone comes to me and say, I would like a change. Say, okay, no problem. I'm going to record that change. I'm going to go and look at the information about that change. I'm going to see what that change is going to cost us, what impact and all of these things. And only once I go and start understanding all of that change and understanding what is involved in that change, only then would I be able to go and really, ensure that I've delivered what you want. I go and assess it. I say, okay, it's going to cost me that much. It's going to require that much extra time. Do you agree, Mr. Customer? Yeah, I agree. Great. So you're going to go and have to pay me some extra money. Pay me that extra money, and then let's go and start implementing that scope changes. You can't just simply keep on accepting changes after changes after changes. Because if you simply accept the changes without having a process to control those changes, and if you're not getting more money or more time to do it, you might seem as if you are not delivering things on time. You might seem as you are delivering things late. You might seem like you are not delivering things according to budget, while in reality you are. And that's going to go and actually be a very big waste for you. That is a waste that you need to go and actually be avoiding. So it's something you need to go and bear in mind, do much more details, control it really well to be able to go and get the right. Absolutely. Thank you very much, guys. Do you have any question about this first chapter? This is really what we're going to be covering in details in the webinar. But do you have any questions about what I covered today?
Nope, all good.
Alrighty. The second topic we're going to be talking about in the webinar is about system design and about detailed design and implementation. Now, remember, this is a subject about system development, lifecycle, and project management. So I want to introduce some of this concept now, and probably I'm going to talk a bit later about releasing it towards the end of the subject. But that's really what I'm going to be covering in terms of the systems design and the detailed system design perspectives. It's from another textbook, Satzinga, Jackson, and Bird 2016. So just wanted to highlight it for you in case you would like to go and access that information. I also have recorded and loaded for you a video on the Moodle site that you can actually go and play. It also talks about that topic and talk about the things you might want to go and design and develop to be able to go and get the detailed design in terms of the system analysis. So in the webinar, what we are going to be doing, we're going to go and be describing the purpose of systems analysis and design when developing information system. We're going to go and explain the purpose of the system development lifecycle and explain how to apply its 6 core processes. Now, ladies and gentlemen, system analysis is really what is required for the new system to be able to solve the problem that I have. There's always going to be a problem. I'm trying to solve a problem. What is actually required for the new system to really go and solve my problem? System design is really how the system will operate to be able to really solve my problem. You know, how are the components going to be working together? What sort of things I'm going to go and be having in the system? So need to design a system, understand how the system is going to go and operate, how are the components going to work together to be able to go and really solve the problems that I have at a point of time. So when I talk about the system development life cycle, we usually have a problem. We start with a problem, identify the problem or the need, and obtain approval for you to be able to go and proceed with that need. I am getting plenty of my customers complaining because of the system crashing. Okay, let's plan and monitor the project. Let's plan what we're going to do, and let's try to go and create a way to be able to go and monitor the project. Let's then, think in details. Let's go and discover and understand in details what is the problem and what needs to go and be done. Once you have a clear understanding in details about what the issue is, you're going to have to go and design the system components that will enable the solution of all of those problems. Once you're going to go and design those detailed system components to solve the problem, you're going to have to build them. Write the code. You're going to have to test them. You're going to have to go and think, if I'm creating more than one component, I'm going to have to go and integrate all of those components together to be able to ensure they are all going to be working as expected. You're going to have to go and complete system tests. And then you're going to have, after you're happy with that system, happy with how it's operating, happy with how it's doing the work that we wanted to go and do, and you know that it's solving the problem we have on hand, you're going to be able to go and deploy that solution so that it is going to go and be used in practice by the relevant personnel. Now, what I want to say here is many tasks resemble those in the project management process groups: initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, controlling, and closing. Closing really here is all about deployment. Implementing is all about building, testing, and integrating. Planning, plan and monitor, okay? And, initiating, identify what is the problem, okay? These processes, really, system development lifecycle processes are very, very much aligning with the projects or the stages we go and have in terms of the actual project management processes. So not much different than what we go and do. This is an example. We have a RMO trade show system. The problem is we have so many agents that they attend all of these trade shows all around the world to be able to go and order new products from suppliers. So what do we need? We need a system to collect and track information about suppliers and about the new products while we are currently at the trade shows. What's the trade show project's going to do? We're going to go and create supplier information subsystems and product information subsystems so that we can go and correspond all the suppliers that are there with the products that these suppliers are currently having, so that we're going to be able to go and understand the suppliers, understand the products, and be able to go and order things accordingly. So when I talk about requirements, we need to think about more than one requirement. What are the functions that need to be done, and what are the non-functional requirements that I need to go and consider? When I talk about all the functional requirements, what are the activities that the system must perform that are demanded by users? The functions the users carry out. What does the user do when they are actually using the system? These are all the functional requirements we need to go and consider. But we also need to think about the non-functional requirements. What about the security of the system? That's not a function. That's something that is still needed. What about the performance of that system? What about the reliability of the system? All of these are non-functional requirements that we need to go and think about. They are equally as important as what functions the system needs to do. You might have a great function of seeing all of this supplier information. But it takes you 20 minutes to open each supplier, each page on that supplier. That's obviously not going to be a good system for you to go and use. So you need to think about all the functional requirements, record them down, all the non-functional requirements, you note them down, and you're going to go and use them. And this is something you can think about. All of these things I'm mentioning now are things that you can consider for your actual assignment. You create a user story. What does the system want to do? As a shipping clerk, perfect. I want to be able to go, yep, I want to be able to go and ship an order as accurately as possible as soon as the order details are available. So that's basically what the user story. That's what the shipping want to do. I want to ship an order. Why? Well, we want to ship it because I want to make sure I'm going to ship it as accurately. So I want to make sure it's accurate to get there. How do we ensure that we have delivered that the requirement of the client the way that the client have requested? How do we make sure we did what the client wants from us? Very simple. There were acceptance criteria. These are the criteria we must meet in order for the client to go and accept that what we have delivered has been done correctly. Available order details must pop up on the screen when available. Portable display and scan device would cut time in half. We need to go and sort the items by bin location. We need to indicate the number of items in stock for each item and mark back order for those not available. We need to recommend shipper based on weight, size, and location. We're going to print out shipping label for selected shipper. These are some of the things we could go and bear in mind. What are the use cases? How people are going to go and use the software? They're going to use a lookup supplier function, enter update supplier information function, lookup contact function, enter update contact information function, lookup information, product information function. So there's all of these functions people need to go and use. So these are things that should be available in the system. Okay, lookup supplier. Let's describe it. Well, we need to use the supplier name, find supplier information and contacts. Enter update supplier information. We need to enter new or update existing supplier information. Look up contact using contact name, find contact information, and so on. Enter update contact information. Enter new or update existing contact. So there's all of these things that we need to go and have at a particular point of time. You're going to have to go and think, how are things going to link together? So for example, how is contact going to link to supplier? How is contact and supplier going to link? How is supplier going to link to product? How is supplier and product going to link together? All right. Oh, product is going to have supplier name. So they're both going to link through a supplier name. Okay. So you need to think about all of this information. Look here. You're telling the system how to operate. Every supplier could have many contact details because a supplier could be located in location 1, location 2, location 3, location 4. Every supplier could have many product items. Every product item is only belonging to one supplier. Every product item could have 0 images or many images. Every image will be for one product only. It's for that particular product. So you're trying to create the linkages. You know, there's a supplier, contact, product picture, product item. You know how they link together. You know, all of these details. You know, supplier name, address, description, comments, contact name, address, phone, email address, position. You're basically linking all of that information together. You use case diagram. Okay, a purchasing agent and a manager, they all could use a lookup supplier, enter update supplier. They can enter and update supplier information. They can look up contact, and they can enter and update contact information. So you can see what people can do with all of these functions that we are creating. You give people permission. You give this agent, whoever is an agent will have permission for this menu. You basically go and create that information to ensure things will be available in practice. Activity diagram, you know, how do we do things? So let's say there's a function called lookup supplier. How do we do it? Well, let's look. Start. The purchasing agent will start. He will enter the supplier name. He will go on the system. The system will return the supplier information. Is it found? No, yes, it is. No, it's not. If it's not, enter another supplier name. If it's found, view the supplier and contact details. Are we done? Yes, finished. Are we not done? No, look up contact. Okay, select contact name. The system will retrieve that information. Once it's retrieved, we can view that information. That becomes the end of the process. So you can see the step-by-step that people need to go and follow. So when I'm actually a developer sitting and trying to develop the system, I can understand how things need to go. I can understand that there need to be a screen for me to enter the name. Then the screen will need to show me this. Then if it doesn't found, I need to be able to enter the information again. Then if I'm found, I'll need to be able to see this. So you'll be able to see exactly what needs to go and be completed at any particular point of time. Is that clear, my friends? Now, ladies and gentlemen, once you have all the understanding about what needs to be done, you need to go and code it. Let's go and create the right code about what needs to happen. In a class supplier view, what's going to happen? We're going to have to go write the code in a new supplier, look up supplier function. Whatever needs to go and be done, you need to write the code in details to be able to go and ensure you're going to go and get the outcomes you would like to go and have. In a result item, we're going to be able to go and see what is being displayed in that result item: supplier name, contact position. So you're telling the system what needs to go and happen. You're telling it, you know, I'm going to want you to go and get information. I want you to get the supplier information, category information, product information, country information, and contact information. You get all of these things to basically be displayed. You tell the system what needs to go and appear. Once you go and create a system, you need to go and ensure you are testing that the system is going to work well. You start, let's get the data and let's use this data to test the system. Let me create a sample supplier and let me go and try to search for that supplier on the system. Can I see that person? Yes or no? Let me conduct the test. Let me document the errors. Let me fix the errors. Let me conduct the test and maybe finish if there's no errors. Okay? So if there are errors, you go back, conduct the test. Once I conduct the test, I could be finished if there's no errors. Things are actually complete. The final things you need to think about is once you go and finish everything that is needed, the system is ready, it's tested, it's happy to go. What do we need to do? We need to go and train all of those people, train the users, making sure things will work well. Training and users must emphasize hands-on use for special business processes or functions. Order entry, inventory control, accounting, whatever it is. We need to get people to have the right skills. What's the point of creating the best system in the world if people are unable to go and use that system? It is equally a system that is not delivering any value for the organization. So it's very important to go and create a system. It's very important to go and understand that system in detail, understand what's happening, ensure people could use that system well to be able to reach our specified goals. The person who's going to go and operate the system needs to be trained properly. You need to try to choose people with the right computer skills. You might also need to go and have administrators to be trained on doing administration sort of tasks, not simply just the usual tasks, support tasks, but also this system needs to be supported. Once that system is leaving a project team and is going to the service support department, it basically becomes a part of getting the system to go and be automatically getting the support that is really needed. My friends, that's the information I would like to go and introduce for you today. We will obviously go into much more details because we're going to be covering both chapters as part of the actual tutorial. We're probably going to be doing, the webinar. We have actually many slides, probably more like 65 or so. There's a lot of slides next week. It's all about understanding the burst topic, especially the topic about systems development, systems design. which is, I really recommend you go and incorporate as part of your assignment. Now, do you have any questions? You can give me the thumbs up if you have no questions at all, or you can ask your questions now. Okay, guys, great. So I can see that no one have any questions. That's no problem at all. Ladies and gentlemen, I recommend you read chapter 5, finalize your group. If you haven't done that, and start working on some content is due in week 7. You might think there's a lot of time, but trust me, there's a lot of tasks to be completed. So it's very important that you guys start delivering the work and start working on things now, not leave until the end, because otherwise you won't do well. You need to start working on your assignment now. Go over the videos loaded on Moodle. There's one loaded for this week. So it's something to go and actually take into perspective. If your group is not finalized, please make sure that you, when you attend your tutorial this week, you do speak to your tutor, and he will be able to go and ensure you are being assigned to the right group. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very, very kindly for all your time and your effort. We really appreciate you working hard on the subject. We care about your success. I personally care about each one of you. You are like my children. I want you to do well. So please, if there's anything at any time that you need, you just need to make contact. I'll be very, very happy to help you. On the weekend, there's obviously public holiday. So I hope you enjoy your public holiday. Have a bit of rest, and we'll see you well and safe next week. Because there's a public holiday, it means that there won't be a class on Monday. But what will happen is I will be making a recording for you guys. I'm going to be making the recording, today, and I'll be uploading that recording for you on Moodle so that you'll be able to go and access it to be able to have an introduction of the topic we are going to be introducing next week. So make sure you go through that. If you've basically missed that information, and you'll be able to go and see that recording. Now, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for all your time. We'll see you again next week. Thank you for your time.